It's one of civilization's oldest problems. But is it time to rethink the way we solve it? This young engineer says we're overlooking a potential gold mine because there are untapped resources in, yes, human waste.
As long as there are humans around, there will be waste. And rather than flushing value down the toilet, if we can just extract it out, now we've done what people kind of jokingly call modern alchemy. We've taken a waste product and turned it into something valuable.
Food. We all love to eat it. And of course, we can't survive without it. But we could never grow the amount of food we need to feed the world without the fertilizers that make today's farms so productive. Most of them include ingredients made from a compound called ammonia. Though it's a combination of nitrogen and hydrogen, it's the nitrogen that makes ammonia such an effective fertilizer. Because nitrogen is essential to plants. It helps them to grow bigger, healthier, and faster.
So when you think about how do we feed 7.9 billion people, we couldn't do it without ammonia.
But the great benefit we get from ammonia-based compounds comes at a huge cost. The process used to manufacture ammonia burns fuels that release lots of carbon dioxide. The gas whose buildup in our atmosphere is the principal cause of global warming. So Will Tarpeh, a chemical engineer at Stanford University, is developing a new climate-friendly way of making ammonia.
If we want to sustain the environment while feeding humankind and increasing quality of life, we need other options. And that's where alternatives to conventional ammonia production start.
Will is one of many scientists today hoping to take advantage of a surprising fact. There's a whole lot of valuable stuff, including ammonia, in what we flush down the toilet.
Hey, we have this untapped resource, wastewater, that can give us 30, 40 million tons of ammonia in a year. Why are we letting this go down the drain?
Scientists have long known that urine contains ammonia. The challenge facing Will was how to extract it.
As you can imagine, there's a lot of other things in urine besides ammonia. And so our job is to get really, really selective. And by that I mean, if there are 100 types of things in urine, we're trying to get just one out. That type of challenge means designing membranes that let ammonia through, but don't let other things through.
And so now we've got our membrane that's ready to go in between these two parts.
In order to separate urine's various components, Will developed a method he calls electrochemical stripping. It's a high-tech version of what we do when we sort bottles and cans.
If you have to sort your recycling, you say that's plastic, that's glass, that's metal, that's paper. And you do it by what it looks like, what it feels like, that type of thing. We do the same thing, but for molecules.
To sort them, Will designed a device with 3 chambers, separated by membranes. The first one allows only the positively charged molecules to pass through. The second membrane allows only the gas molecules to pass through. And that leaves only ammonia. Using this process, Will could recover more than 90% of the ammonia in urine. It was an exciting new technique in chemical engineering. Electrochemical stripping put Will in the spotlight, and he was only 27 years old. But in the lab, Will and his team could only extract ammonia from a few liters of urine at a time. Nowhere near the scale they'd need to convince a town or a city to give the method a try. Fortunately, Will could run larger tests at Stanford's Codiga Center, a research facility where wastewater is diverted into pipes that are easy to tap into.
What Codiga allows us to do is get to the scale where people who work at large scales just start to get interested enough. So it's taking it up from the lab at tens of liters to maybe hundreds or thousands of liters, so that someone who's at millions of liters can think, oh yeah, okay, I can see how that would work in my treatment plant.
Will is now working on ways to make ammonia not just for fertilizer, but also for ammonia-based cleaners.
My goal is to make recognizable chemical products and have people say, oh, they're also from wastewater. I want our science of separation to be that good. If I put them side by side, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Okay, so I see. We've got another brick to stand on.
Yes.
Will's ambitious plans reflect his belief in the power of science, something he's felt drawn to since he was a small boy.
I was an incessantly curious kid. My mom likes to tell stories that my favorite question was why. I was born in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, on the west coast of Africa. My dad is Liberian, and my mom is Black American. And then we moved to Connecticut, where I grew up for the first 5 or so years of my life, and then really grew up in Alexandria, Virginia.
Despite Will's American upbringing, he still feels a strong connection to the continent where he was born.
When I think about the biggest challenges facing our world, they center in places like sub-Saharan Africa. And so there's always been something that's drawn me back to making huge improvements in people's lives. For example, one of the things we have to ask ourselves is, why is it that billions of people don't have access to sanitation?
One reason is the high cost of building sanitation systems. To help solve that problem, Will works with a company in Africa that provides toilets to people who have never had them before. The toilets collect urine separately, making it easier to process using Will's ammonia recovery technology.
If there were products that we could make from waste that generated revenue, then you could imagine those being the subsidies that reduce the cost of waste collection in other countries.
Bringing people better sanitation and finding better ways to feed a hungry world. Will sees a bright future for the idea that captured his imagination so many years ago.
When I was a PhD student starting off and I said I wanted to research ammonia recovery from urine, people were like, that doesn't seem viable. And somewhere, that's a crazy idea. And now it's become a lot more commonplace. These are conversations I'm having a lot more than I did 10 years ago. And so when I see that trajectory in just 10 years, I say, oh wow, what can we do in 40? And that makes me feel like I have the best job in the world and like I'm really lucky to be able to do it.